What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Bleeding BNG. It was an exciting day in Commander Land, to say the least. If you guys don't know, to give you a time step as I do for all of my episodes, today is Wednesday, August the 6th, 2025, and our beloved Washington Commanders went up to Foxborough, where they went up to New England and duked it out with the New England Patriots in their first joint practice session of the season in preparation for week 1 of the 2025 preseason, where they actually play the New England Patriots in the first preseason game, or the first game of the 2025 season. So we got a lot to get to today, so I'm not going to do too much rambling. We don't have today's not the episode. We ain't got enough space for rambling. It ain't enough time for rambling today. But before I get too deep into this episode, you already know what I'm going to say. Be sure to comment, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. On the road to 3,000 subscribers, and I can't do it without your help. So hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you're not missing any of this content on your Washington Commanders. Because you know over here, Bleeding B&G, we give you the most raw, uncut, and unfiltered analysis on the Commanders. And we're going to try to give you that today. So without further ado, man, let's get into what happened on the field today. I had to look through a slew of reporters, because you know with these joint practice sessions, you can't just look at the local beat reporters, because they tend to be a little biased, not calling anybody out, but they tend to look at the team through those burgundy and gold tinted lenses. So I had to scour the Twitters and the social media and Al Gore's internet to check up on different national media reporters that were there, reporters coming out of Boston and the Massachusetts area as well, to get a good sense of all the partakings that happened in Foxborough today. So we're gonna see what happened today. See if our Commanders put belt to ass, or did they get belt to ass put to them by the New England Patriots. So we start with our guy Zach Selby. First 11 on 11 period of the offense. JD5 was 3 of 3 with 2 completions to Zach Ertz. Michael Gallup just made a catch from Johnson and lowered his shoulder on the Patriots DB. All right, we out there trucking people already. We out there setting the tempo already. Michael Gallup must have heard about how Tom Brady embarrassed us in Richmond in 2015 and just held on to that 10-year-old grudge. Picked it up as he signed with the Commanders. I'm not mad at him, because if you know, you know. If you was in Richmond back then, you know. Tom Brady, surgical. But guess what? We got our own surgical guy in Jayden Daniels. And let's see what Jayden Daniels did today. B-Rob is fired up today. He had a couple of really nice runs and has been trying to get his teammates hyped up in the huddle. I bet that seat is hot for Brian Robinson, and I know he feels it. That seat is hot for Brian Robinson, and I know he feels it. But I love to see that he's showing up in a moment and answering the challenge and taking the challenge head on. And the reason that I say that the seat is hot, if you haven't checked out our last couple of videos, Dan Quinn had B-Rob back there catching punts while we've been getting Ja'Cory Krosky merit propaganda shoved down our throats, pause, for the last couple of days. But B-Rob answered the bell today, apparently, against the New England Patriots. That's from our guy Zach Selby as well. We will get a chance to look and see what the New England reporters had to say about practice as well. Kevin Morris from New England, he says the Commanders' offense looks like they haven't skipped a beat. And with the golden boy Jayden Daniels, why would they? Why would they be expected to? Sophomore slumped my ass. I'm tired of hearing about how this is supposed to be Drake Maye's breakout season, but it's inevitable that Jayden Daniels has a slump. Like, what kind of in what world is that? Is that logic makes sense? But we're not even going to get too far into it today, because I like Drake Maye. New England, y'all got y'all one. He just not foul, but y'all got y'all one. Two things that have stood out to me watching the offense: the connection between Daniels and Ertz is a cheat code. Laramie Tunsil is really, really good. Yeah, and we're going to get a chance to see what I was reacting to in real time. I was at orientation scrolling my timeline every minute. I was damn near about to get kicked out of the orientation for not paying attention. So we're going to see what I had to react to in real time. But I say that to say, Laramie Tunsil's that deal. I know all the other tweets that were tweeted about Laramie Tunsil today. He threw a nigga in the bleachers, which I was excited to hear, because we hear about all the praise that he gets as a pass protector. But to see that he's getting down in the nitty gritty in the trenches in the run game, getting dudes out of the club, I love it. He got them U Street vibes. He must have been feeling like a bouncer. Getting niggas out of the club. Shout out to Zach Selby, man, keeping us in tune, boots on the ground. Zach Selby, shout out to my guy. Damn near play-by-play. Kane Madrano was in good position to make tackles on back-to-back plays. The rookie does a good job of sticking with pass catches and coverage and breaking down to get stops. Kane Madrano started stepping up to the spotlight. Jordan McGee has missed his third straight practice session. I didn't mention at the beginning of this episode, but Jordan McGee, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, Marcus Mariota, Brandon Coleman, and I believe that was it, set out of practice today due to injuries. And I made a tweet earlier where I said that while I love Jordan McGee, y'all know this is a Jordan McGee stan channel, but I can't be standing guys that got 50 more snaps in the NFL than me. I said that, Jordan McGee is treading into Keenan Robinson territory. He's treading in Keenan Robinson waters. And for all my OG Washington Redskin fans, y'all know who Keenan Robinson is. And y'all know that isn't necessarily the best thing. Keenan Robinson is a guy that came in with a lot of promise. And, he was proclaimed to be and was promised to us to be the predecessor to London Fletcher. And that never came to fruition due to the fact that he suffered a lot of injuries. He had a pec injury at times. And Jordan McGee is the same way. I've been on this channel saying that, I was at training camp last year and Jordan McGee looked like the Tasmanian devil chasing around the ball. But that was before his injury-riddled rookie year. And now to see that he's missing a third straight session and not getting this good, valuable work, like him going against a good team or another team like the New England Patriots, is something that he needs because he doesn't necessarily have that NFL experience. He was one of the guys that I was most excited to see in this session, along with Brandon Coleman, and see those guys whose, injuries seasons were affected by injury. Brandon Coleman, not as much and not as drastic as, Jordan McGee. I don't love hearing that, though. Don't love hearing that. Jason Tatum is here and chatting up Jayden Daniels on the sideline. I know that's a lot of ore. on the sidelines right there. I know the sun probably peeking through just on that sideline, on the portion of the sideline where Jason Tatum and Jayden Daniels is. Jayden Daniels is absolutely surgical in 11 on 11, never misses a read. Death taxes and Jayden Daniels being surgical. I told you he's the Black Brady that happens to run a 4.4. No surprise there. He just had to let Drake May know, like, it's levels to this, boy. There's levels to this, my boy. There's levels to this, my boy. Y'all want to talk about my age and all that? Well, guess what? Drake May wish he could be as good as this when he's 24. Jason Tatum. So the Commanders will show, man. Jason Tatum coming out to watch practice. I don't think he's doing that for any other quarterback other than Jayden Daniels. Like, he could have been at any other New England Patriots practice, but he came to watch 5. I get it. So the 5 Gauge Fest continues. Watching Lermy Tunsil in pass pro is such a work of art. He just kept putting Keon White into the ground with a little effort. Christian Barrymore just tossed Nick Allegretti. Get that from a Patriots writer and Taylor Cowles. All right, talk about the trench play now. Christian Barrymore is one of those guys. So to see him doing that to Nick Allegretti isn't necessarily surprising because Nick Allegretti is brought in this season as to hopefully be a depth piece and somebody that, we don't have to rely on as much as last season. I mean, they get paid too in New England. They get paid too. Patriots front getting through versus Daniels, especially inside. I got Kyrie Tonga, Harold Landry down for pressures, also holding up well against stretch runs. One thing is the safeties can't cover Zach Ertz, but not sure how many of those throws are getting out in a real game. A lot of those throws are getting thrown out in a real game, Matt, because guess what? A lot of those things that you perceive to be sacks right now, Harold Landry is not fucking getting Jayden Daniels down. Like, Harold Landry, like, he's washed. So a lot of these throws are going to get off in a real game. And No Yak Zach Cook and Kyle Duggar is like music to my ears. Sorry to break it to you, Matt. But to hear that, they're getting initial pressure isn't something that I love to hear. But it kind of goes in a contrast to what Zach Selby said about Laramie Tunsil, being a stalwart in pass pro, because while I know he's not the only person on the line, I have a hard time seeing like where Zach Selby went and talked about that if it was necessarily happening. Christian Barrymore, all right, well, okay, here we go. He shoved aside Tyler Biotis for inside pressure. Daniel rolls out and throws it off target. Kyle Duggar and Ja'Cory Brooks had to be separated. All right, we got good fisticuffs. One thing we know about joint practices, death taxes, and somebody going to get in a fight. We know it. And hey, as long as we rocking. As long as I hit them boys in burgundy and gold is rocking, I have no problems with it. I have no problems with it. Be smart. Don't break no hands on no helmets. But I love it. I love it. And Christian Barrymore just was embarrassing our interior offensive line today, apparently. So maybe this is where the interior pass rush was coming for. Answer my own question. First, Nick Allegretti got it, and he said, Tyler Bass is going to get your ass some of this too. Pause. Whoa, that sounded crazy. Christian Barrymore, though, like I said, this is a guy, he's coming off of, I believe he had a heart issue last year and didn't play majority of the season. But him coming out of Alabama was a stud. Roll Tide Roll. Y'all know how them Bama boys go. Like Linnell Willingham, our guy just alluded to. Barrymore's a dude, but this interior group struggled down the stretch. So that's interesting to see how the rest of the preseason plays out. Wouldn't freak out over Mikey Sanders still getting beat in a joint practice. We'll say, though, not enough was made of his transition back to slot cornerback. Started off slowly inside before being moved outside again. Wouldn't fret it. Yeah, so we'll see it when I go back to what I was reacting to during real time. But apparently, Demario Douglas had a day against Mikey Sanders still in the slot. And that's contrast to what we've been hearing and what we've been seeing, what Mikey's been putting out in Ashburn. And that answers a little bit of our questions of, is it due to the caliber of receivers that these cornerbacks are going against, or is this cornerback group just simply that much improved? And I think you get a little bit of both because I believe later in the practice, Mikey caught an interception. But this is something that I've talked about on my channel even as well, that, you know, I agree with Linnell that Mikey's transition back to slot cornerback hasn't been talked about enough. I know people think that as his natural position, but y'all know over here at Bleeding B&G, I've said, how do we know that? Yeah, I know he's played that at Michigan and things of that nature, but he was better on the boundary last year. And I think that some of his athletic limitations show up more in the slot than the boundaries. I believe, you know, with Mikey's instincts, he's able to use the sideline as another defender at times and things of that nature. You don't get that benefit in the slot. And he doesn't play to that extremely quick, short shuttle that he ran in the 2024 offseason, getting ready for the draft. Commanders get immediate penetration on the left side versus outside zone run from the Patriots. I wonder if that was the ones defensive line that they're talking about, the Commanders starting defensive line. Lake Lewis talking about Laramie Tunsil as well. Manhandling folks. He's a stonewall. The youngster Josh Conley Jr. is having a day as well. So hopefully Washington's bookend tackles for the next 3 to 5 years with Laramie Tunsil doing their thing. Drake Maye just went 9 for 12 during the first round of 11s. Completions to Douglas, Henry, Hollins, and Hooper, plus a screen to Henderson. Drake Maye said, "This is my house, Jay. This is my house, 5. I know you 5, and I know what you did last year, but they calling this the Drake Maye breakout season for a reason." All right, look at these young quarterbacks answering the bell, dueling. I love it. I told y'all Drake Maye is a solid prospect. I liked him coming out of North Carolina. He just wasn't that guy number 5 out of LSU. I get the pass on the 85 Bears, but the Commanders' O-line has looked terrific. Wiley and Conerly playing well. Tunsil dominant. So Laramie Tunsil is having himself a day apparently, which is expected. You can tell he was coasting through camp. Laramie Tunsil is at the point where I told you he's running parallel with Trent Williams' career arc, where he got to the point where he's so damn talented he can roll out the bed and pass protect and play left tackle in the NFL. You can tell he couldn't wait to hit a guy in another colored jersey today. In the red zone, Deebo Samuel ripped the TD off Patriots cornerback Marcus Jones for a toe touchdown. Jayden Daniels on the throw. So that 1 to 5 connection, 1 to 5 equals 6. 1 plus 5 equals 6. Apparently, Deebo Samuel and Jayden Daniels hitting off in Foxborough, right where they left off in Ashburn. So to see that connection is still on and popping, like Linnell Willingham said, one of the biggest relevations of camp is amazing to see. It's amazing to see. I still need 17 out there, though. On the other field, Jayden Daniels hunts to Zach. No yak Zach got Patriot safeties in a fucking frenzy. Drake Maye's series ends with a scramble after a quick pressure. So the Commanders' defensive line, after much ado, after being heavily talked about all offseason, based off of their performance last season and the improvements or the additions, let me say additions rather than improvements that they made in that room this year, they seem to be putting it together. I'm pleasantly surprised. At that. They seem to be coexisting and gelling really well as a unit. We've heard what they've done in Ashburn, and to see them translate and take it up to Foxborough, things are getting chippy, real chippy. The defensive and so they fisticuffs. I told you. Marshawn Lattimore was in the middle of this one. Not to my surprise, we got Mike Vrabel jumping in the fights. That's my type of coach. That's my type of coach. Patriots O-line and Commanders D-line went to the ground. Couldn't see who. I love it. It's football, man. Can you smell it in the air? The season's here. Nice throw and catch from Jayden Daniels to Ja'Cory Brooks. Even Jayden Daniels got jags like Ja'Cory Brooks making plays. Now, I know he made a one-handed grab in the end zone, but Jayden Daniels is doing this without 17. I get the Drake Maye hype, and I get that he had himself today, but Drake Maye had his full plethora of weapons out there today, Stephon Diggs included. Jayden Daniels making chicken salad out of chicken shit, like I've said so many times before. And to see him answering the bell is just something that is expected at this point. Expected. You think he don't know that people were talking about him versus Drake Maye today? You think Jayden Daniels don't know that? All right, let's see what did I miss that I was reacting to on my channel or on my page. What I missed? Let's see what we missed before we head on out of here. I told you we had a lot. We had a lot to talk about today. We had a lot to talk about today. Let's see how far I got to go back. So it sounds like they were battling in Foxborough today. Doesn't sound like the Commanders necessarily dominated like I expected, or like most people would have expected, with them potentially or being deemed contenders going into this season. Doesn't seem like they dominated the Patriots, who are still in the early phases of their rebuild. But, you know, if we could go back to the New York Jets joint practice last year, which was their first joint practice session of last season, you know, the Jets won that day as well. The Jets pretty much handed it to the Commanders in the slop, in the weather last year, and we saw how that turned out. It resulted in a 12-5 season. So I wouldn't raise the alarm bells too much. Matter of fact, I think it was one tweet that I reacted to where it said that the Patriots won the day. The Patriots won the day. Don't raise the alarm bells too high. David Harrison, Demario Douglas is having a day against the Commanders defense. He's beating Mikey Sammerstill on several routes. So that's something to be watching over the course of the preseason. Mikey's transition back to that slot cornerback position. I know with his instincts and things like that, you want him in run support. You want him blitzing and providing an extra man in the box. But if he getting beat like he was early last season at that nickelback position, that's going to be something to look out for. And then, like, if he can't play that, what do you do with him? Because it sounds like Trey Amos still had a solid day. I know John Kahn was talking about how he had a couple of decent reps against Stephon Diggs in 7-on-7s. Even the pass report is talking about Laramie Tunsil. Laramie Tunsil shut off multiple edges from Keon White in 11-on-11. Kayshon Boutte, TD on the back shoulder fade from Drake Maye at the pylon. Marshawn Lattimore was all over the receiver. And I actually saw the video from that. Marshawn was all over the receiver. Like, they're not just saying that. It was a hell of a throw by Drake Maye. One of the type of throws that gets Patriots fans excited for Drake Maye's potential. But yeah, it was a dot. Marshawn was basically sitting on the top of the route. That was a hell of a throw, a hell of a catch. Stephon Diggs participated in 7-on-7s. Drake Maye targeted him on the first 3 throws, resulting in 2 completions. Drake Maye was red hot during the early team period. Ball placement could have been better at times, but he was composed and consistently found an open man. Highlights include an over to Demario Douglas and a whole shot to Mac Hollins. So it sounds like our secondary might have got lit on fire today. Sound like our defense wasn't as advertised coming out of the first couple of weeks of training camp, where I started thinking, hey, is this the Legion of Boom 2.0? It sounds like they got a reality check up in up in Foxborough today, excuse me. Which is good though, which is good. Going against a young promising quarterback with decent weapons like Pop Douglas, who's having a day. Stephon Diggs was an established 10,000-yard wide receiver over the course of his career. Travion Henderson took a commander pass rusher down, possibly Von Miller to the ground, and the two start scuffling. So Travion, y'all know I like him as a prospect, doing what he does in pass pro, but old man Von not taking no shit. Old man Von not taking no shit. Getting chippy. Is there anything else that we needed to touch on? Mikey Sanders still. So this is the give and the take with Mikey Sanders still. He gets beat a couple of times, but due to his instincts, he's able to get an interception in the red zone drill after Bobby Wagner tipped the ball. Here's what Kyle said about Trey Amos. Trey Amos continued his strong summer with a solid showing. No one wins every play, but he did a nice job on the cover routes versus Stephon Diggs. On one patient jam, disrupt overthrow on the fade to the end zone, messed up the timing. So to see Trey Amos making that play against a 10K wide receiver over the course of his career, it's positive. My guy, Ed Oliver, actually had some practice footage that we not going to watch right now because it's taking forever to load. But there was one tweet that I ain't going to say took offense to, but I kind of said, stop the cap, and that was the Chad Grant. He said, after some up and downs through camp, today was a step in the right direction for the Patriots. They were better than the Commanders on both sides of the ball today. Good day for the Pats. I saw a reply. I said, stop the cap. And somebody said, nah, dude, go listen to what Damon Harrison said on Big Doug show where they recap today's practice. Shout out to Doug for that pull as well. And Damon Harrison said the same thing. He said the Patriots won today. And while you don't necessarily want to hear that, as I said a couple of minutes ago, you don't want to raise the alarm bells too high, because if we can go back just a year ago, the Jets put belt to ass to us, and all it did was build character. It's never a loss, but it's always a lesson. So that'll do it. It seemed like the quarterbacks do it today. Jayden Daniels made chicken salad out of chicken shit, and Drake Maye. It looks like the breakout season might be upon us, and it looks like the defense isn't the defense that myself included was praising it to be after the first week and a half of camp. Got a long time until the season comes. Temper your expectations. And yeah, I don't know if they're practicing tomorrow, but if you haven't seen the channel, we're doing a Commanders watch party stream during the game on Friday. So join the stream at 7:15. And yeah, good day for the Commanders. Good day for the Patriots. Good bump. I love these joint practices. We'll have another joint practice with the Ravens in Ashburn in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, good bump. All in all, football is back. I'm super excited. And, yeah, I'll check in on y'all on the flip side. Hit that subscribe button.